7 o'clock. Call the meeting to order. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from August 27th, 2019.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from August 27th, 2019, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Additions and deletions, I need to add under new business an E&O, narrowing the mission. And I need to add under new business a resignation. Are there any other additions or deletions to the agenda? Okay, that being said, then I'll entertain a motion to move members of the public to the beginning of the agenda, take it out of order.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Then we will welcome Sheriff Anderson.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
So I didn't really come prepared with anything specific to say other than hello. I want to make a connection. I know over the years that we've had a relationship with the town of Townshend in various capacities. So I at least wanted to have a face with the name. But I also didn't know if there's anything you guys wanted to discuss. So I was just really hoping to have joint dialogue.
Well, I'll kind of start the conversation off by first of all saying we do contract with the state police.
Yes.
And one of the reasons that we have gone back and forth over the years with the sheriff's department is we did have a dedicated officer for the town of Townsend 1 year. And that worked very well for about 2 months until he was injured. And once he was injured, it never took on the same feel again. There was never anybody who really stepped into that role for the town. But we continued to pay the same fee. And that got to be really, really difficult. Other than that, I know you've made changes in your dispatch. You've made changes in the hours it's staffed, which were some of the issues that we had before. The fact that residents couldn't call and get any kind of a response after certain hours. Anybody else have anything that they would like to ask questions about or just generally throw out there?
Okay.
Anybody? So what have you said in your little brief memo to us that you had made some changes with the department? What kind of things have you done that would potentially benefit the town?
So I'm not going to claim any of this as my actions because some of them are from my predecessor. Just given the amount of time that's passed since we were last in the contract with the town, I'm going to go back a few years. Our dispatch is now a 24-hour facility. Back in about 2006, it reduced, I believe, to about a 14-hour operation. Don't hold me on the number actually, but significantly reduced. So we have restored 24-hour operation. It's staffed and capable of handling all the way up to 911 calls. In fact, we were the 911 responders for the town of Vernon when they wanted to have a 24-hour police service. Ultimately, they reduced their service more so because of budget concerns with their increasing tax rate. So we've sent a majority of our staff through the level 3 law enforcement certification program. It's the highest certification in the state of Vermont. We've sponsored numerous programs, both on a regional level as well as just within our own agency. Drug take back, as well as the drug drop-off boxes to try and get unused prescription medication off the street so that they're not falling into hands through burglaries and other crimes, as well as so they're not ending up in the drinking water and just things that are more environmental by nature. Let's see, at this point, I believe I'm providing roughly 5 full-time employee hours for patrol services throughout the county. We're contracting, I believe, with 13 towns and villages right now at varying levels. Some from simply as basic as a traffic enforcement contract to when we're there, we do everything, and when we're not, then the state police cover. The region itself has had a bit of a dynamic change just with the state police barracks moving to Westminster. And through that, they also saw a very drastic change to how they're manned and how much area they have to cover. When we had the Brattleboro and the Rockingham barracks, the area was divided between the two. Now we have, or the state police need to cover from the Massachusetts and New Hampshire corner as far north as I believe it's White River Junction, and then as far west as Peru, which is Bennington County, and as far south as Whitingham. They didn't get really too much more money. And so a lot of people have been saying, hey, we're not seeing them as much, they're covering a bigger area. So we've worked very well over the years with the state police to develop a relationship with them. And we're trying to find a way to make it work so that we are still an affordable service that's able to meet the needs of a town, but also to be able to help them where they have a lot bigger playground and about the same amount of people.
I wonder if it would be helpful for someone at the sheriff's department, if not yourself, sheriff, then one of the deputies, to come to town meeting and talk about just that, because I think that vote happens on the floor at town meeting.
Only if we choose. We didn't do it last year.
We didn't, we did it before.
Right. No.
So if we warned it, it would be.
We would have to have a
again.
separate article, yes.
So say we warned it, and then, I think I would venture a guess that a lot of people in town don't really understand the dynamic between the sheriff's department and the state police, and the response time is much different than it was when we had the sheriff's department under contract as well. Just as an education piece to the town people that, that turn out for town meeting.
I would be more than happy to come to town meeting. I do know that town meeting's a day where everybody wants to see me. So I'd be happy to come. As far as whether or not I'm really there to speak at any significant amount of time, I'd be happy to stick around and answer the question if it was on as a warrant article to consider our services. If it's just informational, I would say let's do it on another day. I know that we've done that here in Townshend before on informational meetings. I'm happy to publish information as well as set up another community forum if that's of value. I guess I would leave it at that.
I think if you're going to do it, you may as well warn it so that the people that are going to make the decision are sitting in the room. And quite frankly, it usually revolves around money. And we're going to set a dollar figure.
Sure.
And for budgetary purposes, and then it'll be what kind of services can we shove into that box is where the questions will come from. So we can certainly do that this year, is have a specially warned article as opposed to including it in the budget, if that's your choice. But is there anything else that you would like to know in advance of having that discussion budgetarily as to putting the sheriff house here? No? Then I've got just kind of an off-the-wall type question. In your short tenure here as the sheriff, top man responsible here, have you seen any decided increase or decrease in the drug use or the drug issues that we have in this area?
Define area.
I'm talking specifically just about Townsend.
I have not monitored Townsend's drug
Haven't seen
usage.
much, okay. I was just curious because there's been such a push
Yeah.
to get a handle on things. I was just wondering if you'd seen anything in there.
So I would actually, though he's no longer here, I would turn to West River Valley Thrives in terms of some of their data, who we actually do partner with them. And I'm not sure if they've made any headway in selecting their new executive director.
You just sent out the application, I believe.
Okay. But with that, a slight step away from Townsend itself, but specifically more towards the county itself. I've been working with several prevention coalitions similar to West River Valley Thrives, including Brattleboro, Greater Falls. I think I have a meeting set up with Deerfield Valley regarding the overall drug issues that are going on. There's a grant that was just obtained by Chad Simmons, who I believe is still with the Greater Falls Prevention Coalition, though I wasn't sure if he's branched off from it as part of this grant called the COSU grant. So I actually have a meeting tomorrow morning to discuss that. It's basically putting what Brattleboro did, Project Care, in at a county level. So there's discussions that are occurring about it. There's a lot of really good work that has occurred, especially around it, not only from an enforcement standpoint, but also dealing with more of what the disease is and how we respond to that. I'm sure you've heard it said before, we can't arrest our way out of the problem. There is far more underneath the surface of drug usage, specifically in this region. And I think that partnering with some of the social services that are going on right now that are actually funded, it prevents the town from having to shoulder some of the burden while getting some of the services to the town. So we are actually in the midst of organizing with that project because I'm new. I also haven't had the time to be able to make all the meetings that I'd like to make. But especially as it revolves around getting access to people when they're ready to get into treatment. That can sometimes be the smallest window that we deal with, and one of the most successful pieces is getting them at the right time. So.
Anybody else? Any questions? No?
Thank you for coming.
I definitely will be back in touch as we begin to talk about the budget. I'll have Carla email you and give you a rough idea in our day where that might land so that if you can't make it, then one of the deputies, we'd be more than happy to have somebody else come up, but
And
yes.
just for scheduling purposes, I know this is the time of the year where you get busy. If you have specific questions you want answered, I might even be able to answer them by email and then come present at a meeting. For my purposes, I usually have October slated as my budget month. So I should have numbers and rates to be able to prepare you for what that should look like as you go into more of your budget conversations. Our current rate for towns under one full-time, so less than 2,000 hours per year, is $51. I don't anticipate that increasing significantly. As far as whether there might be a minor increase, it'll be determined based on rates that we have to charge for fuel and whatnot.
51 is 51 an hour?
Yes. So, and that includes, in the current rate, what that includes is the vehicle, fuel, mileage, all the insurances, police liability insurance, our supplies, everything. So.
Okay, well, like I said, as we get into that budget time, I'll probably reach out, if nothing else, to have a proposal from you to see what your rates are, what your contracts are looking like, and then we'll get it warned as an article potentially, and then have somebody come speak to it. I think that would help. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks very much, Eric.
Thank you.
Good night.
Too.
You too. I wouldn't notice my house.
All right. Then moving back up to, on the agenda, to the warrants.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 1, payroll, in the amount of $11,272.45.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying payroll warrant number 1 in the amount of $11,272.45, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 2, payroll tax, in the amount of $4,771.72.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying payroll tax warrant number 2 in the amount of $4,771.72, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 3 out of the general fund, the amount of $5,095.59.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying general fund warrant number 3 in the amount of $5,095.59, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Did you vote?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just didn't hear you. Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 4 out of the general fund, the amount of $409.50.
Second.
Any discussion? This is a replacement check for an individual who was awarded damages against the town, and the individual failed to pick up the check within 12 months, meaning the check was outdated, can no longer be cashed. So this is a replacement check for that. Actually, from funds from 3 fiscal years ago. So, all those in favor of,
Do we have to
we do,
replace them?
yeah, there's, yeah, we do. All those in favor of paying general fund warrant number 4 in the amount of $409.50 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 5 out of the highway fund, the amount of $59.76.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, where did you get these? Because I need a pair for that price.
Walmart. The receipt's in there.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying highway fund warrant number 5 in the amount of $59.76 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 6 out of the highway fund in the amount of $197.37.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying highway fund warrant number 6 in the amount of $197.37 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 7 out of the equipment fund, the amount of $4,928.45.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying $4,928.45 out of the equipment fund signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Okay. So then moving on to the reports. Highway?
Over the last 2 weeks, we've continued with tree cutting. We've completed cutting on Hazel Hill, Crane Mountain, and Ridge Road. This week, we started on Grafton Road. Grafton Road I can only do when we have 4 people available, because we do have to flag on that road. So we'll continue on Class 3 roads now that the roadside mower arrived today, and we'll be out working tomorrow. Also, I called Viking this morning to get an update on the delivery of the new truck so we could prepare financially. And as it sits right now, the estimated delivery date will be October 10th.
That shouldn't be an issue.
Okay.
Now, how is that actually going to work? I mean, are they going to want a certified check? Because that will be a process that will have to be, we're gonna have to know when the delivery's coming so we can get it till we do that certified.
So I'll talk to Craig Allen, because it'll be one check to Patriot, and then they pay Viking.
Okay.
I'll see how Craig wants that.
Okay, you see, you just let the bookkeeper know so that there's time to prepare that. So is there anything else from the report? All right. Then we asked you at the last meeting about the winter sand. You were going to give Cersosimo a call.
I did.
And what did you find out?
Bruce was going to send a letter to the town stating the volume and last year's price.
Okay.
So it was coming to town hall, so you haven't received one yet? Okay.
Okay, well, if we don't get it by the next meeting, can you remember that that hasn't come yet? So that we can follow up on it?
I'll call him tomorrow.
I said, I haven't seen it anyway. It hasn't made it back to the back office, let's put it that way. And then this piece of information, as soon as I get organized enough to find it, it's just something that came to us from Megan, from V-Trans, and it is in response to the Historical Society's issue with us and the fact that we would be competing in grants for structures next year. And basically they were asking the state, V-Trans, to tell them whether or not we should have a capital plan for infrastructure, and if so, what the top 10 priorities, which Charlie did ask that night he was here, what that was, and they didn't think that the answer that we didn't have one was the way it should be done. So there was a lot of back and forth with Megan Brunk, and she did forward that to Carla, because this is an issue for the town as well as the Historic Society, and it's talking about whether or not we should have a capital improvement infrastructure plan and begin funding that. So I just wanted to point out 2 things in this particular piece. Is number 1, this tax year, we are actually raising $88,000 to the repair of that, or for the repair of that bridge. So in and of itself, that is the beginning of a capital plan. We are putting money aside for the bridge. And as far as the structures grant goes, they would like to know when we're going to apply for that. We have not heard from Beck yet, that is due shortly,
Yeah,
as far as I know.
Yeah.
Once we get that, then we will be able to put together the grant application to see if in fact the state would allow us to have a structures grant next spring.
Right, for 43, right?
For 43, correct. So if we're going to submit a grant in the spring for 43, I don't know if it makes sense to, since they only take 10, they only usually award roughly 10 projects, if it makes sense to try to submit the grant for the Stone Arch Bridge as well, and essentially compete against ourselves. That's kind of where we are right now. We're already in the process with 43. 43 has been identified as a safety issue to some extent. There's structural work that needs to be done on that. So it has been identified by the state, and I think we need to move forward with a plan to get the work on 43 done. But it's not, it's our call as to how we would like to go about it. Do we want to actually submit a second application for the Stone Arch Bridge? For the structure. So it's up to
Did we,
us.
did we submit one last year?
We did,
As
but-
an emergency or
Correct.
something, right?
but we didn't actually do that one.
We didn't. Okay.
No, that was one the Historical Society
That's right.
that
they
put
did.
together,
Yeah.
and we just went ahead and sent it in on their behalf. Again, I don't know which way you'd like to go. We don't have to make a decision now, but it is something we need to think about as we start to talk about moving forward on 43, whether we would want to do both bridges next year. Okay? Okay, that was the Stone Arch Bridge. I lost my agenda now. Wait a minute. Okay, the next thing, you all should have gotten a copy of the counter money for the month of August.
Good.
Okay, and the treasurer, again, I gotta find the correct paper. Since he was at the polls all day and didn't want to stay for the meeting, the checking account current balance is $1,088,898.21, and there's $30,000 in the sweep. Okay, any other discussions or questions? Then moving on to correspondence, the only piece of correspondence we've actually gotten, and now I can't find it, is a letter from BCTV, basically inviting all of us to their annual meeting to, have, number one, have their annual meeting piece, but also to kind of go over what's going on with the government piece and the funding for the community television. And it is on Thursday, October 24th, from 6 to 8 in Brattleboro on Elliott Street, if anybody would like to go.
Any food?
Yeah, it says a light dinner.
Piqued my interest.
There's no, as long as you feed us, right? Okay.
They're gonna film you while you eat, though.
Okay, let's see where we are here. Old business. The update for the septic health issue, I don't believe we've heard from Dr. Schaefer yet
No,
on that issue.
he's on vacation this week.
Again, he's got lots of vacations, that's cool.
35 years?
Wow.
I don't know if he's out of town, but I know he's on vacation.
Well,
Practically French.
we'll probably need to follow up before the next meeting then, Carla, just to remind him that we need to at least have some kind of paperwork on that septic. Just so that we can show that we've done our due diligence on the issue. As far as an update on old business, I know the garage is well aware, but for those of you who aren't, Centas was here today. And they did thousands of dollars worth of fire extinguisher swap outs. Yeah.
Oh, I feel safer.
I'm good, I'm glad. You should. They
Next
did
one.
the town hall first, and we came in way over budget simply because all the fire extinguishers we had were condemned essentially, and they all had to be replaced.
Oh, man.
The garage, the library, and the fire station all did very well. They came in under budget, so we have to give them kudos. But yes, so we are now in compliance. They've checked all of the emergency lighting batteries, so the building now will no longer get their hands slapped every time the inspectors come in.
Oh, good.
We just have to pay the bill when they come in.
I think I'm used to my hand being slapped.
Oh, are you? Okay, well, put done. At the same time that they were busy testing things here in the town hall and doing that, we also had a new furnace put in today.
All right.
So it was a very busy day. We had people going all around doing all
Did you try
kinds of.
the extinguisher out on the?
I didn't have to. Okay,
Did somebody tell VLCT that all this work was being done?
not yet,
Okay.
not yet. We will need to notify them that we've had all the fire extinguishers done. We've done all the emergency lighting
Yep.
and anything else that's been done. I know the fire department made some simple changes to, I think they had a stair railing issue and some other issues. But, the new furnace for the upstairs, I don't know if it's actually complete. Do you know, Carl?
I don't.
Okay, he was here this morning. They were moving big pieces in and out.
Oh, good.
He's here for quite a while too.
Okay, so hopefully the new furnace for the upstairs is here. So there's 2 new furnaces in the building. Hopefully there won't be any more issues for a while.
You just get the windows sealed, it'll be nice.
Hopefully that doesn't mean that we keep it at 75 in here either. Like, mild 67 to 69 or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's always a different degree in Anita's room than it is in here.
Hmm.
It's usually warmer in there.
In there?
Yeah.
Oh no, wait till this winter.
Well, during
It will be
summer,
so hot in here that you're gonna want to wear your shorts in January. It does get warm in here because this seems to have so much more of the air circulation for some
Yeah,
reason.
it looks like there's there's no walls either that
Yeah,
damper the
so
convection.
it definitely gets warmer in here than it is for an office, plus the door in there opens and shuts, letting the cold air in, so that office is usually colder in the wintertime.
I'm not gonna complain.
But honestly, just wait, you'll see.
Could we put some sun lamps in here too?
Huh?
Sun lamps?
Well, you don't even turn on your lights.
We'll get you a happy
I would
light.
then.
We'll get you a happy light.
Okay, so anyway, then moving on to new business, we added E&O. And I don't think this has probably been copied because it came in late today. You all don't have a copy of it, do you? Okay. So it seems to be a trailer that was valued improperly at $11,600. The correct value on the trailer should have been $7,600. So they would like us to correct the error through an errors and omission and reduce the property value from 11,600 to 7,600.
Who says it was
The listers.
the listers? Oh.
So you haven't done an E&O yet, have you? This is a common, or things get kind of misplaced and mucked up when it comes to the grand list. You're entering all those numbers, and there's times that something like this would happen. They would mischaracterize this,
Just a human error.
and then basically after the tax bills go out, then it's the select board that has to approve the changes to the grand list because it has already gone out.
Oh, I see.
So this is what they call an errors and omissions, and this is an error that happened in the grand list that we based our tax bills on.
So the assessed value is off by $4,000.
Yeah.
Somebody fat fingered it.
Pretty much. I mean, it was, the tax bill's so small, it's really not gonna,
Yeah.
Can I have that one?
I think we'd all fight over having that one. But yes, so I would entertain a motion to correct, or allow the listers to correct parcel C 9150-022, site number 22, at Camporama for Jeff Phaneuf. Enough?
Enough.
Okay,
Enough.
okay.
So moved.
On the tax rate, but we have to,
Second.
the amount, we have to do an amount from a value of $11,600 to a corrected value of $7,600. Now you can make the motion, now you can second it. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the errors and omissions on that particular parcel and changing the value from 11,600 to 7,600, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes. So Carla, tomorrow you will need to let the listers know that the E&O was approved and they can make that change. All right, the next one I just got, which I didn't even know I'd got until Rob pointed it out, it was on the clipboard. We received a note. It says, I wish to offer my resignation as a member of the Townshend Library Board of Trustees effective September 15th, 2019. Catherine Grenier of Townshend has expressed an interest in becoming a board member and would be a well-qualified addition to the board. It has been a privilege to serve for many years as a trustee in this wonderful town resource, and Townshend is to be commended for its continuing support of the library. Sincerely, Marge Holt. So I would entertain a motion to accept the resignation of Marjorie Holt as a library trustee.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Thank you for your years of service.
Oh, and I would like to add to the motion that with regret, that we accept the resignation. So all those in favor of accepting the resignation with regret signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Now, would you like to consider Catherine Grenier as a trustee in her stead? Then somebody would need to make that motion.
I would move that, is that an appointment?
Well, you appoint until the next town meeting, so
Right.
her seat will be elected at the
Right,
next
okay.
town meeting. So to fill the remainder of this term,
So I would move that we appoint, I'm sorry, what was her name?
Catherine de Grenier.
Catherine de Grenier, to fill the vacant seat on the library trustees board until town meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of appointing Catherine de Grenier to serve until town meeting in the Marge Holt's position on the library trustee board, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Now, this is another one new for you, Carla. Two things here. Anita will need the copy of this letter to be able to post in the town record book as a resignation. And she will need to be told that Catherine de Grenier has been appointed to fill that seat, so that she can make the changes in the officials. All right. So, is there any other new business anybody has? Then I just would like to make note of the fact that we're in September. We're going to be looking at beginning budgeting discussions sometime in October. And to be able to do that, I think we need to begin our whole process with evaluations, so that we're ready to go when it's time to talk about salaries, which is usually where we begin that discussion. So we have a form that we used. I don't know, do you still have a copy of it? You still have
I have
it?
the electronic.
And I have the electronic as well. So what type of a timeline would you like to work on for the evaluation so that we could begin the budget discussions? I mean, do we want to shoot for the second meeting in October with the evaluations? How far out do you want to go?
Sure, we'll do it.
Yeah.
That would be the 22nd.
Of October?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, if somebody can
Yeah.
prop me up, because I'm going to be rarely tired that weekend because of it.
Yeah, no problem. We'll give you the good check.
Okay, thank you, because I come home the night before and it's not gonna be pretty. So we want to shoot for October 22nd to have the evaluations done. Does that give you enough time, Steve, to do it, Arnold, as well?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And then we'll all sit down and do Carla. Is she the only other one that we have now in town hall?
I think so. Did we do Elaine?
Elaine. So Carla and Elaine.
Might as well do the listers and the.
You can't do the list, you can't do those, Rob. I keep telling you, no, it doesn't matter. Don't waste your time. So we'll do Carlos and Elaine's then. Maybe after we'll do those the first week in October.
That's a good idea. Break them up.
Well, we'll sit down and have that discussion amongst ourselves on those two. And then we can put them together with Steve's the following week to actually get a feel.
Do them all up.
So we'll do those on the 1st of October. Okay. So if there's nothing else that anybody has, then I will entertain a motion to bring back to the table the continuing legal discussion we began in executive session under 1 VSA 317C4 at the last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor of bringing the legal discussion back to the table, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes. So, the next meeting is the 24th at 6:30. And I don't believe we'll probably end up with any kind of viable resolution tonight.
Oh,
So, I think it's good, even though it's later than normal. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to move into executive session at, can we call it
7:38.
Okay, 7:38.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of going into executive session, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? No. Motion passes. Okay, thank you.